Okay, Sinatapi. Welcome to Native Wellness Institute's Wellness Wednesday. And these two Nidaniko Makoyo Sakoi. I'm going to be your dialoguer and your uplifting incentive storytelling for the next few minutes. I just wanted to comment on this is self-care. Right after the pandemic was over, I got total mammograms, pelvic, all my blood work done, and I had a full body scan, and I have 2 basal cell carcinomas. I have three more to be operated on April 10th. So anyway, I'm not. It's not a domestic. It's self-care. So, okay, welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I just wanted to come and visit you a little bit early. We have some exciting news. I'm getting on a plane in a few minutes to San Francisco. I've been working there for 25 years as the female traditional consultant. And so I start doing my talking circles and one-on-ones on Friday. So I'm going a little bit early just to get time orientated and visit all of my Bay Area family. And then Saturday we're having Indian Women's Healing Conference. And that healing conference is Miss Indian World's coming. Lakota Harden is our MC. Aurora Mamea and April McGill are behind all the organizing. I don't know, we got 300 or 400 women coming from all over into San Francisco to do healing together. And then I'm honored, I'm presenting how do you take care of yourself from now in the next 10 years, physically, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually. And we're gonna focus on, if you're a single parent raising kids, if you're co-parenting raising kids, if you're married and raising kids. And then there's a lot of our population now, especially after the pandemic, are holding off before they have children, or they don't want to have children at all, which is kind of an amazing, but anyway, that's what the workshop is on, is creating the matriarchs for the future. But I just wanted to say welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I'm here at my favorite hotel by the Kalispell Airport, which is the Glacier International Hotel. It's an amazing place. There's pictures of bears and buffalo and elk and sixisu, moose, and it's just an incredible place. And it's in Kalispell, Montana. It's just at the edge of our reservation, but it's still our territory. Blackfoot Confederacy territory is from Saskatchewan, and if you kind of go up above Edmonton, Alberta, and then it's all the way down to Wyoming to Yellowstone, and it expands out. So I just want to say it's a spiritual territory that we call a heat map, because it doesn't have boundaries like the medicine line. It doesn't have borders like for the state. That's our territory. And so I'm kind of like smack in the middle of it. And we ally with the Kootenai here, who came out of Canada, and then they put the Kootenai and the Salish on a reservation just nearby here. There's 8 reservations in Montana with some incredible people and some incredible healing efforts going on right now. And of course, March Madness just tipped to powwow season. so while we're this year on the 19th, April 19th and 20th, the Earl Old Person honoring powwow, because Earl, over 50 years was the MC at the Kyayo, and depending on the dialect, Kyayo is a bear in Blackfoot. Not Boxyquay grizzly bear, but Kyayo. So it's the Kyayo. It might be the 69th annual. I believe it's up. But Earl Old Person let's see, Earl was a Stewie, Cold Wind Sapu. Stewie Sapu. So Cold Wind was his second name, and so in honor of Earl Oldperson, there was like a $300,000 endowment to uplift the Kyayo powwow, and so that's starting to happen. So you're welcome to come. We're going to have a lot of the Kami Poismanics, the stand-up, the 100 stand-ups that you saw at Lily Gladstone's celebration. There's some coming down from Alberta for that. And a lot are coming to, there's a matriarch storytelling session. So I want to give a shout out to Dr. Annie Balcourt, who is putting that together, and she's at the University of Missoula. And then tenured Dr. Annie, Annie Balcourt, I think, is tenured. And then Carla Bird, who is also, and they're both Blackfeet, so they've been doing language courses, and they're bringing down, and so you guys are all welcome, because I think one of the main speakers is Audrey Weasel Traveler, that was known formerly as Audrey Bastine, and it's going to be matriarch storytelling, so there's going to be other tribes from Montana, so that starts on the April 17th. And then I come to Montana because I was just talking to Steve Barrios, and they're having our friend from Northwest Territories, Mr. Momberg, is showing his Two-Spirit film, The Resiliency of Two-Spirit, on April 9th in Missoula. Boy, there's just a lot of goodies happening. But welcome to Wellness Wednesday. We wanted to just give you, in the springtime, I want to talk a little bit about what do you do to uplift yourself in the springtime. And if you, just coming on, this is a victory. I feel so happy because at these two spots, they did a Mohs surgery where there's a single cell cancer, a basal, and they scooped it out, and then they take it to the lab, and so they got all the cancer here, but I have to wear this bandage for 48 more hours before, and it's stitched. So it's just, I just wanted to say hello to you, and I sometimes, I think, when your face is all bandaged up, people don't know how to take you. I feel okay. I don't have a fever. I don't have pain. I took some Tylenol and put ice and did all the things. And the doctor just called me, I swear. Since Logan Health has taken over in Kalispell, they really give good health care with Indian Health Service in Browning. So that's just some positive news. But I wanted to talk about some of the topic today is about this renewal. Native Wellness Institute, we just all kind of went to Hawaii, and some of us came early. Some of us think Lavina and her husband stayed later. Everyone, I floated in the water for 10 days. Literally, I would just put my feet up and go out and float in the water and look up at the sky. And Jean Tagabon was showing me that when you're floating on the waves, you should just float and take in the air like a whale and then go. So I did that for 10 days. I would do it in the morning, and then I would do it at sunset. And I believe that water, ever since I've done that, I've come back, and we have, our normal reservation challenges of just issues, our normal, gosh, we have so many funerals at home right now. And then I was crying this morning because my relative Lena Russell from Alberta just decided to cross and be with the ancestors. And she's like the teacher of the teacher, keeping the language. She taught everybody, I'll be 68, so everyone that's in their 60s, Lena Russell was their teacher. And I want to, Kitsikako, Mam Lena. Kitsikakalim, those that are crossing over. I had another little relative. I always call her Patty, but they call her Missy. She just passed over. So those kind of challenges, I want to talk about how do we keep ourselves okay in our mind, body, and spirit in renewal. One way is with water. Another way, and there's actually a research institute that I'm going to investigate. It's at UC Berkeley, and it's called the Happy Institute. They're looking at in America what makes people happy. And one of their suggestions, these are the 3 things that they're finding that will, if you go do these 3 things, you'll be happier rather than scrolling your screen. And go take a hike. So let's just talk about that for a moment. And read a book and call a friend. So let's talk about that taking a hike, and not, not like breaking up with someone and saying, okay, take a hike. I don't need you no more. Go away, Mr. Put. It's like going into nature. And I just have to say, my brother Gene Tagabon, when we were coming to you with the entire pandemic, we always said, take off your shoes and feel the earth. But, get some good hiking shoes or wear mucks or, I bought 4 pair of Crocs in Hawaii. I said, these badass Crocs. Anyway, why is taking a hike a renewal? Natuapi Saki, Carol Murray and I, we spend a lot of time together because we're preparing. Her and Lily Gladstone are going to get their honorary PhD May 11th. And Carol, her Kami Poismanix, her stand-up headdress is being fixed up, so it looks really pretty because she's not going to wear the cap. She's going to wear her stand-up headdress. And I'm pretty sure Lily will too. But when we were talking, why should we take a hike? Carol was telling me, her and her husband, they're of high transfers. They have a lot of transfers. They held 2 beaver bundles at one time, but she said that they always paid attention to the order in which the birds come back. So if it's the loons, if it's even the ducks, even the swans, even the maistu, the crow, so then I was just thinking, when we pay attention to how the birds come back, that's our calendar. That's because our lake is still frozen on Lower St. Mary's, but I did hike out along there, and I ran into 2 families of grouse, were chicken dancers, and they were like, had their feathers up, and because they weren't ready to see anybody or but I didn't bother them and they don't bother me, but it looked like they were getting ready to nest when they would have their little ones. And that's why all the cows are calving. That's why all the unestas, the buffalo calf is being these cycles. And in self-care, today for Wellness Wednesday and the Power Hour, think about when you take a hike, you get to know not only the animals, but when the plants are coming. So let's just talk about some plants of self-care. I think the self-care, this prevention, we caught this early because it's a single cell, but if you left it, it can grow into cancer, and some people menestatize. But one of the plants that really helped me with my healing, and even today, I was just I was thinking, I ran into organic grocers. I get chaga extract. I also have raw chaga that Tiffany and Amber Webb gave me from Dillingham, Alaska. And so I was just taking, raw and then tincture, like right before I have a meal. And that they say prevents cancer, and so I was just believing in my medicine. So then I was looking at another plant that just grows abundantly in a couple of weeks. It's used as a smudge or as a cleaner. Is the old man flower. They call them crocus, eh? And there's a lot of our elders. An old horn lady, that was how she doctored, was she dried old man flowers and used them as a smudge when she doctored people. And I say a lot of our people develop a treaty and a relationship with the plant. They watch it for years. They see when it grows, they see when it flowers, they see what the effect is. And when you know that plant, that it's time to do that again. We just had the equinox, and we need to do all of this before June 20th, which will bop into summer. There's a lot of renewal constantly. So in this plant, crocus, I know during the pandemic, my relative Ruby Medicine Crane, she said, please save me some of that, because during the pandemic up on Divide Mountain, it was like a purple carpet. Just like for miles, all you saw was purple, and it was the old man flower, that crocus. And so I went out, and when I go, I put my pistache on, my tobacco. I grow my own tobacco just because it feels best. It doesn't have any additives, and I don't abuse tobacco. I don't smoke or have that. I did have that addiction, but that's another story. But this crocus, I remember going up there one day, and just for hours, I lost track of time. I'd put out the tobacco, and I even laid down and I'd cut some of the crocus, and I would say, I don't know all your powers, but I know you have power to heal, and I'm just cutting some of you, and I'm going to dry you, and when the pandemic's over, I'm going to give some to my friend Ruby Medicine Crane, and I'm going to smudge with it, and I'm just going to pray. Smudge with it and just pray. And this renewal is, if you stay in prayer most of the time, I was just thinking yesterday, I love that my doctor, he said, do you have any questions? And I looked at him, and he had those kind of eyes where someone is connected to Creator. And I said, yeah, do you pray? And he said, I do pray. And I go, well, I pray and you pray, and you're skilled and talented, so everything will go good. But this crocus, I remember laying on the ground in this purple carpet of old man flower, and it's almost like it talked back to me. And in medicine, often when it talks back to you, it says the same thing. The answer is in the medicine. The answer is in the medicine. So I'm just repeating this because when the weather gets good, better, I'm going to go up and I'm going to maybe Ruby and I will be together when Carol Murray and Lily gets their honorary PhD, and give her some of that dried crocus. Okay, so this reclaiming, when the crocus come out, that is such a good medicine, but sometimes with climate change, you have to really watch where crocus is. And then usually it would be like, maybe 2-3 weeks. And at the same time, let's talk about a second medicine, I guess, is glacier lilies. And glacier lilies, I think, is what sustained Blackfoot, Netsitipi. Glacier lilies are so beautiful, but you can eat them. And our grandma, she always taught us she would go out and would just say, eat this when we're like the buffalo, like the Eni. Go out and eat it as you see it. So whenever I hike along and all the glacier lilies, which will be coming out soon, is put your tobacco down, snip it and eat it, or you can break it at the, try not to, you never take the roots because you let the plant grow and mature, and you always cut it, but do it slowly with a prayer. Do it intentionally with a prayer. And so I always have it for breakfast. I go out and have a big old glacier lily salad. So I'm looking forward to that when I come back from, I'm heading out in a few minutes on to San Francisco. So crocus, glacier lilies, and the others to start to look for when there's blossoming. Because like right now, I had 7 boxy grizzly bears hanging around my house, and I know when they wake up, they know there's a bunch of berries. And so one of the other things is to look for the little white, in Canada they call them Saskatoons, we call them Savas or service berries, Lakota, Nakota, Dakota call them June berries. And so when you look for those white flowers, that tells you that's where you come back and pick all your berries. It's like reading the land. It's like the land tells you what to do. So then, I guess I'm getting excited. And plus, I'm just really happy that I no longer have cancer on these 2 spots. And I know that on April 10th, I'll get these other 3 spots. But this renewal cycle, let's talk about lateral forgiveness. I'm going to meet with, 300 women, and I'll say more than half of them are single parents. And I guess this is my pitch to having some forgiveness with the women, to whoever is the father of the baby, whether he's there, alive, locked up, or he's the president of the United States, is to have some forgiveness with the biological father so that the child could get to know them if that's possible. I just make that plea with you, because and if that's not possible, then go to having surrogate fathers introduce them that play the fatherhood role, and that are the provider and the protector, and that can guide. It's kind of like I remember a short story when I had he was a Bustamante. He was from Mexico, and he ended up becoming a lawyer, but he was older than me, and I was like in the 9th grade, and he wanted to take me out on a date. And I don't know where it came from. I said, you need to go ask permission from my father. And I remember Luis Bustamante, and I remember, and this was, I'm starting to practice relationships, but somehow I knew in my Indian mind he needed to meet my father and ask permission if he could take me out on a date. But I remember him getting all dressed up, and he was so handsome, but he wasn't Blackfoot. See, that's in my mind. I was also told that I should be with a Blackfoot, somehow, but he was so handsome. And I remember he got all dressed up, and I took him over. We lived on Portland Avenue in Albany, California. And I remember him coming up the stairs, and I kind of stood off to the side, and he knocked on the door, and my dad answered. And I could hear part of what they were saying, and he just said, I wanted to come to you, and I would like to have permission if I could take your daughter Theda on a date. And so Dad, Dad said yes, but then he made all these rules. Like, I remember, and we got to go out on a date, but he had to have me back before midnight. And we went out and we had fun, and it was just our first date. So of course, there's no sex on your first date. Duh. No. And it was more a date to get to know each other, to establish a relationship. But I remember we were coming back late, and Luis Bustamante was so scared because we might get there like at 5 minutes after midnight, or he was bringing me home. And he was so afraid because my dad had made a rule. And that's why we have to have forgiveness and bring men back into our lives. We need men surrounding us like Mike Duncan, Albert Tittman, Will Penn, Thosh Collins. You know, I'm just thinking of Doug Fitzgerald. You know, I just in kind of in my Dwight Francisco, Mark Harris. You know, we need them orbiting around our children. And so in this renewal, really think about the men that you need to forgive, if it's the biological father, are the men that you need to surround your children. Because I'm just convinced I wouldn't be who I was if I didn't have all my uncles and my dads surrounding me and teaching me. And I believe our children, they need the badass aunties and the mamas and the grandmas, but we need well men surrounding us. And those well men, they role model the behavior. This coming up this week, we have our Women in Wellness, but we also have the Boys in Braids happening down at Pechanga with Mike Duncan and the crew, Native Dads Network. But there's many around, all around the lower 48. There is a lot of men in wellness and women in wellness. But women, I'm just talking to you women, we have to play a part of forgiveness and some lateral kindness instead of hating. I know so many women that were betrayed so deeply and brokenhearted, they just hate men because they haven't met many good men. Open your heart up to meet some good men. Open your heart up to talk to them. Open your heart up to listen to their story. Open your heart up to starting new, especially, if they become clean and sober. When they're clean and sober, that's when you can have a renewal of relationship. It's very, very difficult to have a relationship with dry, drunk men, or men that love Budweiser more than they love their children and their wives. So, I wanted to say that in the renewal, really take some time. And if they aren't alive, talk to Creator and ask to forgive them. And when you forgive them, you don't have to think about it anymore. You don't have to be triggered anymore. You don't have to react anymore. And you can just remember the fond memories of that person. Remember the good things that you did. And when someone dies, just remember the good things that you had with this person. That I just want to, one of my a short story. My dad as a protector, I was they always got after me because I was a little brat when he was the mini Pocan, I was his oldest child. And I remember I had my sled and we were on Little Badger. And on Little Badger, I guess I like talking through the hearts. We were on Little Badger, living below. Dad was working for Archie Sankador, and my dad, I was going on my sleigh, and he said, "Now don't go down, down Little Badger, because the ice was thin like how it is right now." But did I listen? No, I was a little punk ass kid. I was just like going down my sleigh. So I remember him saying that. And then, of course, what did I do? I went way down Little Badger, downstream, and I was laying on my belly on my sled, and I was just like, wee, wee, because I used to have a saying, wee, Tippy, all the time I was a child. That's why I know I had a happy childhood, wee. And then all of a sudden, I could hear, prum, 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 and it was my dad horseback. And I looked back, and all I saw was my dad. It was almost like an Indian relay. He just jumped off his horse, and he ran out, and he grabbed the back of my coat, and he pulled me back up. And he pulled me off the sleigh. And then my sleigh went down a little bit, and the ice was thin, and it went into the water. My dad was always saving my ass. My dad, he was always, because I was always into things, and dad was always there. But that's why we need men. I can just see him as he was a horse medicine. It was like he jumped off that horse like Indian relay and grabbed me, but my sled went down, and we never did recover it because it went into the frozen ice and it went on downstream. So just think about, I think that's why I always, and even now, my dad's been dead for 22 years, not in this earth, but not dead in my heart. And not dead, like when I was getting the surgery yesterday, I was praying to all my ancestors just to be with me. So I, number one, wasn't afraid. Number two, that I had good faith. And then all of a sudden I started praying to my dad. I just started saying, Dad, I know you're there. I know you're in the room. I know you're around, Dad. Dad, just hold my hand, stand by me so I can feel you when they're cutting into whatever they need to do and all their little tests. And then a calmness, the same calmness as like when I was floating that 10 days in the waves in Hawaii. A calmness just came to me, and I could feel, it was invisible, but a calmness of my father and my uncles. I was praying to old voice, Uncle Gerald, Uncle Vernon, Uncle Charlie, Uncle Buster. All of a sudden, Uncle William, I just felt like all these men were surrounding me, as well as, my grandmas, and I was praying to my grandmas, but all these men were around me. And it just went easy when they were cutting and numbing and, and doing what they needed to do. And so you can still call on these men, even if they aren't on earth, to help you. No gakimoket, no gaspumoket. Just ask them, to beg them, no gakimoket, pity me, help me. And so part of that forgiveness in my I guess I gotta go catch a plane. Aurora's picking me up, and I'm bunking in San Francisco somewhere. So I guess that's my short message for today. I ask for your prayers. I have one more surgery on April 10th for one right here, one right here, and one right here. But Native Wellness Institute, we're gearing up for, I just have you come and be with us. Or if you want to design something like right now, Dwight Francisco's up at Clark's Point out of Dillingham doing a healing because there was conflict resolution, but he's doing a Gona healing. We have several of our consultants are out. I think Shailene and them are over at Lower Alwa. If you need a special healing, you can www.nativewellness.com, and we can tailor a healing. But there's things that are going on, and I just invite you to create your own ceremony and your own self-care, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to just go back to make peace with the Bay Area and be with Aurora. I always love Aurora because her grandma Doris Wells, who's the biological sister of Buster Yellow Kidney, she's just like them. She's so resourceful, and she's my niece, and I'm their oldest relative, and I love going there because I get to see a Nuxkumapi, Doris, all my little relatives that live there, and I get to see Michelle Antone and Michelle Maz, and of course April McGill, that crazy girl, and everyone else, Lakota Hardin. But I just wanted to come to you on Wellness Wednesday, because it is Wednesday, April the 3rd, and we're starting a brand new springtime. So with that, I'm going to say Kitakito Matsuno and Kitsikakoman. I love you very much.